Alright, buckle up today, ladies and gentlemen, because what I'm about to tell you is a set of stories that is pure heresy. So you might want to get some water and some snackies, because you need to watch this one down. Players who split the party. How did that go? Part 1. Well, it was going to be an easy mission. Split up, accomplish 2 time-sensitive tasks, then the cleric, who had not been paying attention, explained that he was at the pub having a pint, which left the very squishy glass cannon ranger rogue, this being 4th edition and I being a min-max player, all by themselves. Which was fine until a sphere of darkness was dropped on us and our civilian clients. I wound up soloing a mini-boss and his goons. I eventually won out, but not before going down 2 or 3 times. My character never learned this, but my DM had to tell me because he was dumbfounded by this player's actions when he went off on his own. He went to investigate an orphanage, pinned down a young girl in a back alley to get information, found an enemy soldier disguised as a tavern patron, later learned he was hiding and essentially deserted his army, and cornered him in the bathroom and wound up killing him. He left him and never got caught. Caused mild panic by trying to go Batman and hunting down more hidden soldiers. Almost got caught. Considered using bombs to kill actual city guards, and eventually went home and summoned a demon to his home where his NPC wife, my character, and my character's love interest were all staying because he forsworn his god and a type of passive protection against demonic possession he had. The encounter was supposed to scare him into patching things up with his god, but his interpretation was, "Why would my god send demons after me? I did nothing wrong." I know this is just to be a player-only thread, but I have a perfect story for this. I am a DM. I was running a low-magic homebrew setting in a frozen tundra. My players were at one of the small towns there, and they decided to help out the people there from any future attacks. So they decided they would train them. The 3 players at this session included a female human rogue, a male human paladin, and a male human ranger. The ranger, not really paying attention, decides he will go talk to the Goblin King, who was introduced a few sessions before, to see if he would help them with resources. So, deciding he was so mighty and nothing could ever hurt him, he left by himself, without even asking the other 2 their opinion on if he should do it or not. As you all can predict, this did not end well for him. He managed to make it to the Goblin King's cave, where he was greeted by the king, who was very polite, and offered him a drink since he seemed parched. Thinking nothing of it, he drank it, where he promptly failed to save and passed out. He woke up in a cavern tied to the ceiling by a spider web. A large talking spider lady was there, who proceeded to brutally kill him. See, the plan was to have a twist where the Goblin King betrayed the whole party, but it was sprung way too early and the one player paid the price for being cocky. It went fairly well, actually, at first. TLDR, we split the party, and on the way back to meet up, an important character decided to fight the half of the party willing to kill her. We did, and had to spend an entire session fixing our mistake. We were tasked with collecting 2 items, the blood of a giant wolf that we had encountered last session, and the reed pipes of a satyr. The reason for the split was actually the wolf. We had discovered last session that there was no way that we could beat it in straight combat. The only option was stealth. Because of this, we decided to send our stealthiest character along with the healer to retrieve the wolf's blood, while me and the other member of the party went to retrieve the satyr pipes. Everything actually went surprisingly well. The giant wolf was found sleeping and never woke up. And the satyr pipes only required us to beat the satyr at a homebrewed gambling game using in-game gold. The problem actually happened when we were moving to meet back up. The DM rolled a die to decide which of the 2 groups would end up fighting the encounter he had planned. My group ended up fighting a character from earlier, a druid, that didn't like tieflings due to their connection with evil, and also had a personal beef with my companion. My companion was a hot-headed tiefling sorcerer. The person role-playing him had spun it so that he believed that this druid was racist towards him. I was a fallen ASMR barbarian who was not present for the inciting incident. I joined the campaign late, and since the druid entered the area in their beast form, pseudo-werewolf, didn't recognize them as a druid. Combat was engaged, and I immediately triggered rage. Now, normally this wouldn't be a problem. Even with the special abilities this druid had as a boss monster, the two of us could have easily killed it, and that was the problem. We were trapped in the Fey Wild at the moment, and in our world, druids sustain nature in the Fey Wild. Kill a druid, a section of the Fey Wild starts to wither. This druid had appeared before the two people who were both willing and able to kill her. My sorcerer companion was mad at her for being racist, and my barbarian character didn't recognize her as a druid. Out of game, I had just never learned about that bit of world building. A few rounds in, and the rest of the party shows up and explains to me the problem by yelling at us to not kill her in-game. I was just about to try and pacify our sorcerer when I remembered something rather important. I'm raging. My character won't care about the death of the Fey Wild at the moment. Side note, my character's rage was characterized as a cold, calculating rage instead of screaming bloodlust. I stay in character and deal another not inconsiderable amount of damage to the druid, while the sorcerer just ignores them because his character is in his own form of racism-induced rage. Eventually, I end up grappled, but the rest of the party is not able to stop the sorcerer from making an attack that dealt something like 50 damage at level 5. He killed the druid and derailed the next session so we could fix our mistake. And it never would have happened if the rest of the party had been there to explain to me why I shouldn't kill the magical anchor person and stop the sorcerer from doing so. Zombie Apocalypse. We were playing Princes of the Apocalypse, and our party consisted of a wolf ranger, a tiefling paladin, me, a gnome celestial warlock, and a human fiendish warlock. At the beginning of the campaign, it became clear fast that normal encounters would be hard as the DM used a mix of realism and rules as written style. So enemies would ambush, call for aid, or retreat way more than usual. The effect was that we dragged ourselves barely out of an encounter. This sparked a number of reactions. My paladin became something that tanked everything head-on and bashed the skulls in, more to that later. The wolf ranger and gnome warlock became ultra sneaky. But the fiendish warlock, yeah, he snuck off as soon as he had animate undead, killed a little bandit group, and raided a graveyard. So far, so good. But after the graveyard, he said that he would blow every spell slot he had on Animate Dead. The result was a zombie army that swelled exponentially, as he even overrun a kobold village with his horde. While he did that, the rest of the group, not knowing what was happening, spied on the Cult of Earth. We came under assault because we were discovered. Our group sucked at sneaking. Our warlock, who had been on his way back, saved our hides as he swamped the guards with hundreds of zombies. He even proceeded to raise the fallen enemies and swell the horde even more. Using the momentum, we charged the temple in a frontal assault and won, with the boss now being a zombie and our horde. By the module, it was declared a guaranteed TPK if the party attempted that. We later found out. This caused my paladin to be oath-broken, and the fun began. Our group went on to overrun the cultist strongholds one by one. Meanwhile, my paladin had the incredible luck to out-heal and save his ass out of most prickly situations, and I capitalized on it. With a combination of feats that gave me extra spells, saves, and damage, I made it an art form to mano-a-mano the DM's bosses, whilst our ranger became a sneaky artillery battery as he multiclassed into druid. The celestial warlock doubled down on healing, and with the dice on his side, he was as good as a life domain cleric. But why is that under split the party? Because everyone except the paladin became a zombie contingent to his side to command. So we are constantly splitting the party in military style of regiments. So much for never split the party. To be honest, the DM holds on quite well. TLDR, the party splits, and everyone commands a separate zombie regiment to kill the enemies. Spoilers for Curse of Strahd. My party was doing Curse of Strahd campaign and were at the town of Vallaki, where I had a suspicion that one of the items that we were looking for, holy symbol of Ravenkind, was in. On one of the days, the burgomaster of Vallaki was holding some sort of event or celebration. I, the rogue, told the party that we should sneak into the burgomaster's mansion and see if we can find the item, since he'll be busy with his event, so there shouldn't be anyone at home. The Warlock and Ranger were good with anything, but the Paladin decided to split from the party and wanted to check out the event and celebration that the Burgomaster was holding. I kind of forgot what happened, but I recall the Burgomaster being really ticked off when someone laughs at him or talks behind his back. During the event, one of the guards let out a small chuckle and was heavily reprimanded for it. The Burgomaster wanted to tie him to a horse and let him get dragged around town. My friend, being the lawful good paladin, goes in to rescue the poor guard. The Burgomaster was furious, immediately instructed 20 other guards to capture my friend. He gave a hell of a speech about how they should do a reform and rolled a nat 20 for his persuasion check. The guards all threw down their weapons and was on his side. Unfortunately, the head guard with a metal arm wouldn't be swayed and fought with my friend. He lost, got his things taken, and was locked at the stockades. We managed to get him out later though. Oh, and as for the other 3 of us, we rummaged through the mansion. The Warlock was trying to find something in the library, while the Ranger and I went up to the attic. We noticed a wooden door at the end of the attic and heard someone talking inside. We opened the door to investigate. I got zapped by some kind of trap and found 9 skeleton cats in the room. Aw. The Ranger and I were mildly creeped out by them, but otherwise couldn't find anyone in the room. We looked around and found a magic book which led to the cats hissing at us, and we shit ourselves, running out of the room and barricading it from the outside. The Ranger had a lantern with him, so I told him to burn the place down. We fled the scene and rescued our paladin by using the fire as a distraction. The fire had been put out, and we returned later to find the Burgomaster weeping in the room that we barricaded. Apparently, the Burgomaster's son was hiding somewhere in the room, and we trapped him in the burning room, resulting in him being burnt to ashes. And yes, the holy symbol was in the attic too, but we had been so terrified about the skeletal cats that we forgot about it. I was the DM. My players were searching in a hideout of bandits plus necromancers. It makes sense in my campaign. They were in a room with 3 possible ways. Everyone has gone in a different direction. Druid has ended in the dorms, the rogue in a little prison, sorcerer and cleric in the boss room. The druid has decided to go to the prison after inspecting the dorms because the rogue was alone. The sorcerer wanted to use burning hands on all 3 enemies of the room. He tried to position himself in the best spot possible to cast burning hands and then roll initiative. The enemy's trying to talk at first, but if you run in the middle of the room, it's obvious that you'll be targeted if you don't convince them that you're harmless. The sorcerer rolled lower than the monsters. The monsters beat him to 0 HP. The turn of the sorcerer. He makes a successful death roll. Cleric heals him. Sorcerer trying to play his turn because, "I didn't play my turn. I only rolled death roll." I stopped him and continued with others. Monster beat him down to 0 HP again. Druid and Rogue are working in the prison to save some people that were caught to conduct experiments on them. I suggested to the Sorcerer to search for help. The Sorcerer screams for help. The Rogue goes to help him, but he was too far away. The Druid didn't care of it and continues to help the prisoners to run away and avoids the traps. As a DM on his 6th session, I started to play the monster in an easier way. I thought I made an unbalanced match. It was okay if they were at least in 3. My party has healed the sorcerer with some potion and miracles, and he goes to cast Burning Hands. 2 on 3 enemies failed the saving throw. He rolls the damage individually. He then tries to cheat on the dice rolls. Oh, that's a bad idea. All the table noticed it. He tried to move the damages made on a monster to another. I said that I'll let him do it only this time so he would understand that he doesn't know the game enough to cheat. Do you think that you can cheat successfully in a game that you don't know? The monsters were a hobgoblin, a boss goblin, and a cultist. The cultists managed to pass the saving throw. I only described their aspect to the party. They are new to the game and their character new to the adventure, so they thought that the cultist was stronger, even if I said that the boss goblin was on a throne. He moves the damage from the boss goblin to the cultist. Bad choice. The hobgoblin died. The boss goblin loses 5 damage, ending to 17 HP, and the cultist loses 17 to 2 HP, ending to 1 HP. The rogue arrives, and they pass other 2 turns to fight the boss goblin, being constantly near their dead. They killed the boss goblin. They finished all their potion of common heal, I don't know the English name, 2d4 plus 2, and all their spell slots. P.S. English isn't my first language. I hope it's readable. Thank you for being so polite, and your English is passable. Don't you worry. Hey everyone, Brian here checking in on y'all after the vid. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and to ring the bell so you can get notified whenever we go live or upload a new video. If you want to submit a story, then be sure to check out our subreddit r/MrRipper and toss it in there. For further updates or to stay in touch or watch us play games, follow us on Twitch and Twitter. Links are going to be in the description below. Using your help action, you can come say hi to me as well on my channel, Brian Von VA, where I stream games, voice memes, and voice your D&D characters. As always, I try to end things on a positive on my stories, so I just want to say one thing. I don't care where you come from or what your first language is. I am grateful to have all of you participating in this channel. I love reading stories from people all across the world, and I know sometimes they're written a little awkwardly, but I never judge you for it. I'm always happy to read it because that's your experience. And one thing that I always tell people about the whole world is that sharing your experience will make everybody happier. Yeah, I agree that sometimes it's hard to read, but that's okay because your experience is never going to be like somebody else's, and that is amazing to me. I want all of you to tell me your best experiences with D&D, with life, with love, everything, in the comments, in the subreddit, all of it, because I love reading it because I get to live my life through you guys and gals out there. And I want each and every one of you to find a friend through the experiences somebody else has. So that's my positive. Never hide yourself or shrink away because we're all here in it together. All the love, be safe, and I will see you next time. Bye for now.